Hej så, vi skal lige høre, hvad er dit ærne?
Jeg skal til demonstration. Tommy Robinson.
Ja. Hvad demonstrerer man for i forbindelse med det?
Hvad for noget?
Hvad demonstrerer man for i forbindelse med det?
Det er for at sætte ham fri.
The video to Thomas people so that we know that also Denmark and the Danish people stand firmly, not just behind him, but with him in his actions and in what he is trying to achieve. The fight against injustice and the preservation of our cultures and our freedoms. Standing here in front of the British Embassy, I look back. I have fond memories of this very embassy, as I have been to their cozy basement pub. Yes, of course, they have a pub. Many times past, while I for some years worked for the Canadian Embassy. There was a generous standing invitation to personnel from other embassies. In fact, I've had a great many fun and memorable times here with the wonderful Brits. Today, however, is not such a time. Little did I imagine that I would one day be standing here in this capacity, talking about the horror that has befallen not just a man, Tommy Robinson, who devotes his life to fight injustice, but also for all of us who have freedom in our hearts. I am trying to, but utterly failing, to try and find rhyme and reason in what has befallen that once free and wonderful country. And yet, the descent into tyranny has been happening for years. Bit by bit, the seeds of the descent of Britain into a totalitarian police state was already then, while I was obviously, obliviously, sipping my pint long before it started. Yes, much has changed since those light-hearted times at their embassy pub. We are here to show our collective outrage at the recent arrest and imprisonment of Tommy Robinson. He was arrested on a pretext. He had done nothing wrong other than exercising his right to free speech, quietly standing outside a courthouse like he's done on numerous other occasions, reporting on a court case regarding the industrial-scale sex slavery of British children. He was swiftly grabbed by 7 police officers, bundled off into a police van, whisked away, summarily tried, without access to his own attorney, and convicted in what can only be called a kangaroo court. He was then thrown into Hull prison, where he faces the very real threat of physical harm or death from Islamic extremists. All of this happened within a matter of hours. To top off the infamy, the judge who sentenced Tommy also ordered British media not to report on the case. Newspapers that had already posted reports of his arrest quickly took them down. They do not want their nefarious deeds to be publicly known. The mind simply boggles. Now I, not unlike a great deal many others, knew that there was something terribly wrong about the situation in Britain. But somehow I never would have thought it possible that the land of the Magna Carta and Churchill would one day have descended to this level of abuse of process. I knew that the winds have in many countries blown about far and wide the seeds of poison, of totalitarianism with its suppression of speech and punishment for wrongthink. But I must now confess that in England these seeds have taken root and grown monstrous and ugly and big. That is now clear for all the world to witness. But but they can issue ever so many gag orders, but they cannot shut people up nor prevent people from finding out the truth. The media, the lapdogs of the elites, no longer have an iron grip on the telling. Indeed, their lies and cowardly silence on the true scale of the catastrophe befalling Europe is their eternal shame. Ultimately, this demo and protest at its very heart has both everything and yet nothing to do with Tommy as an individual, even though we are standing here in support of his plight. It also doesn't matter what anybody might think of Tommy. Whether you like him or not is completely irrelevant. Though most of us, by far most of us, me included, stand in awe at his bravery and perseverance in exposing the truth and defending those who need defending at great risk to himself. It does matter, however, because Tommy has, in many ways, become a symbol. He has become an important symbol of things that are of essential importance to all Western people, but especially in once Great Britain, where now we can easily demonstrate that native Britons have fewer and fewer rights, while Muslims have more and more. The obvious bias of the British legal system in favor of Muslims and against the British is evidenced by increasing hate crime charges for people who say negative but true things about Islam on social media, and Muslims getting off for rape because they say it's normal in their culture. But woe betide the British person who actually dares to point out the truth. Justice is no longer blind in Britain, and good people are being silenced. Tommy has become a symbol of the frustration and the anger of the average British man, woman, and child suffering the indignities of the gradual takeover of a hostile foreign culture, but also those indignities visited upon them from their own increasingly repressive state. It matters, because what has happened to him could just as well happen to any of us who voice our dissent and who dare speak up. They want us brought cringingly and crawlingly to heel, to mindlessly obey our rulers. Indeed, this might very well happen unless we resist and fight for our lives and our freedom. Make no mistake about it. Tommy's arrest was politically motivated. They wanted to get rid of him, and they invented an excuse to do so. He committed no crime. The establishment wanted to silence him, and they have done so in good old Soviet style. Tommy is a political prisoner. What the British government are doing by punishing Tommy for his activism, truth-telling, and defiance is that they are sending everybody a warning. That warning is, resist us and you too could end up like Tommy. This is what we do to people like you. In essence, they are, by imprisoning Tommy, also imprisoning the voice of the people for whom he fights. When a dissenting voice goes to prison unjustly, we all sit in that prison cell. But resist we must, with or without Tommy in our midst. Governments find the temptations of censorship difficult to resist. They must themselves be governed by the people's vigilance. It is our responsibility to do so, and we ignore it at our peril. What has happened to Tommy Robinson brings us closer to a very harsh reality that we need to recognize. He has, by his efforts and actions, effectively forced the British government to reveal its true totalitarian face. It is not a pretty sight. It is outright terrifying. But we need to see it. We need to look at it. It is a terrible thing that has happened, but it is also a brutal wake-up call. Now that we see the true depth of the rocks and of the galloping totalitarian nature of Islam appeasing Western governments, we can mobilize both our courage and take measures to fight against the madness. It is my opinion that they have shot themselves in the foot good and proper, but they have underestimated us, we the people. They have underestimated our will and our growing anger at the continuing assault on our liberties. I read an anonymous poem the other day that goes like this. No man escapes when freedom fails. The best men rot in filthy jails. And those who cry, appease, appease, are hung by those they try to please. We were, to a great extent, living in an illusion that things weren't bad. They weren't that bad, really. We are horrified then to find that, yes, they actually are that bad. What we are seeing today is the merest whiff of what will happen to our countries if Islam, aided by politically correct elites, multiculturalists, globalists, have their way. We have for years and years been conditioned by the uncivil and the unjust. This is the result. Uncivil and unjust countries. Paul Wesley said it very well in a recent video. And Paul, I hope you don't mind if I quote your excellent words. This combined is the action of a totalitarian state in all its brutal horror. This is the action of Nazi Germany, of Soviet Russia or Maoist China. This is the action of a state no different to the states that murdered over 100 million people in the last century, and the action of a state with no regard for democracy, equality before the law, or freedom of speech. This is the action of a fully fledged totalitarian state, and it has happened in England, unquote. Yeah. Actually, there have been in the past few days a great many excellent articles written and videos made both in support of Tommy and by people who are genuinely shocked and dismayed by the actions of the British government. I saw a video just the other day where this older lady beautifully recited a poem which I find worthwhile repeating. I don't know if it was she who had written it, but I thank the one who did, plus of course the lady in the video who did the reciting. It goes like this. They are silencing dissenters. They are silencing our tongues. They are trying now to tell us that they think we're on the run. Well, we are here to tell them that we no more recognize the authority of the traitor who gladly sells our country's ties. They've arrested Tommy Robinson, the man who speaks the truth, because he threatens to expose them of their lies, receipts, and proofs. A man who just wants justice for the children of his land, who gives these children credence and won't follow their evil plan. Our Tommy is a hero who exposes all their acts, the betrayal of the British, and for this he is attacked. We know that Islam rules our land. Our rulers have decreed that our way of life must alter and we must all bow down the knee. Well, Tommy has exposed you, shown us all that you allow halal, Sharia, raping, and for Islam to prevail. We demand that we see justice. We demand that you let it go. Because the anger of the British now has nothing else to show. You will face retribution for your hateful, evil acts. Because we British who oppose you will very soon react. You pushed us to the limit with this unjust course you take. So release our Tommy straight away is the only cause to be. We won't let Tommy suffer for the injustice of this land. For we will stand firm together, arm in arm and hand in hand. Our cry to you, our leaders, if you understand what's right, we shout our support for Tommy and hope justice is done right. So shout with me together, the chant he'll recognize, the chant he's richly worked, because he's exposed our leaders' lies.
Tommy Robinson. Oh, Tommy Robinson. Tommy.
Okay, Tommy, you are a scoundrel and a true braveheart. You will go down in history as one who made a difference, perhaps as one who made the difference. You have a rare courage, a courage many could well learn from, and your countrymen can be proud of you. We all stand behind you, and we can't wait till you come back stronger and more determined than ever. We are counting on it. And finally, one last quote to round off my speech, this one in the form of the wise words of Sir Winston Churchill. Sure I am that this day, now we are the masters of our fate, that the task which has been set us is not above our strength, that its pangs and toils are not beyond our endurance. As long as we have faith in our cause and an unconquerable willpower, salvation will not be denied us. End quote. And end of speech.